Hey, boo, I get that sunshine feeling when I'm close to you. Hey, boo, I got no money in the bank, but I'm rich in romance.
So, are you good to go now? You relaxed?
Yeah. Good to go.
All right. So what is the label called?
So the label is called Boogie Bus Music, and it's an idea that I've had for many years, to be honest, for a long time. And I kind of initially, my first thought of it was basically a platform to put my music out on.
Yeah.
You know, my own personal music. Plus, also running it alongside with my DJ stuff, because I have I do a radio show as well.
Yep.
And in that radio show, I've got this the phrase I say, welcome on board the Boogie Bus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then what happened was, because this was during COVID, when I was doing the radio shows, welcome back on board the Boogie Bus, and the radio show is called the Rhythm Sessions, but I always use welcome on board the Boogie Bus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what happened is people are now coming to me and saying, "Oh yeah, we love the Boogie Bus." Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? So I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right." So it seems as if the Boogie Bus is getting more attention than the actual Rhythm Sessions. Praise, you know what I mean? But I thought, you know what? I'd like to start up a label where I can put out the music that I write, you know, and the collaborations that I do with, you know, with my name and everything, you know, and with other people, of course, you know, as well. So, and then last year, I thought, right, I'm gonna register the name, set it up as a company, and kind of get it all started and everything. What I did was I had to get a logo done and everything like that. So I got a logo done, which was great. And then I teamed up with somebody who I used to work with, Umi McGucking, who's now looking after like the business side of what I do. And we kind of put our heads together. We kind of, when we spoke about it, we were we kind of had the same ideas, you know what I mean? But never actually aired those ideas, you know what I mean? And then one day we kind of got on the phone, and I said, you know, what I'd like to do is to basically start up a label and put out my music on it. Do you know what I mean? Because I found that trying to get people to sign what I do it's not difficult, but the deals weren't great.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it was this whole, every label was poor kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know? And there were certain things that I weren't quite happy with and all that. And I just thought, you know, if I start on my own label, then I'm just responsible for my own stuff, my own music.
Exactly.
Not to mention, I can make 100% profit as well, you know, so I don't need to give it to the label, you know, so that was the other thing as well. So, you know, so we've got it all kind of up and running. We got Umi got a designer on board, a guy called Zoran, who's like an AI kind of,
cool.
He's actually a musician. He's actually a musician first and foremost, but and he's from the Czech Republic, or the old Czech Republic anyway.
Yep.
He's from Czech Republic, and he's now kind of come on board, and then what he's done, he's designed the logo and come up with some really good AI stuff. Now, the music that I want to do on my label is to do with, I'm a happy guy. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And what I want to produce is happy music, and my favorite music is disco, new disco, that kind of stuff. So what I want is produce good, feel happy, uplifting music, not house, but disco, like what I like, you know, which is my background, basically. The disco funk is what my background is, right? So the vibrations of the music that I want to do needs to and will give out, I don't know, give out a good vibe, definitely, without a doubt, and hopefully the frequency of that music will be able to get to people. Do you know what I mean? To
Yeah.
give them a good vibe. So I mean, I think I do it naturally anyway. Do you know what I mean? Do good music, not in a kind of blow your own trumpet kind of way, but I think I do good feel music.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do good feel music, and I've always been like that from when I was a kid. Always wanted to do good feel, happy music, dancey kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean? People
Yeah.
get into it. I put a smile on people's faces. That is what I've always wanted to do. So with that in mind, and with Umi on board, Umi could kind of think a bit more broader, because I can only go as far as the music, right? Because that's my background.
Hmm.
He could think a bit broader. Do you know what I mean? You know.
Yeah.
So she came on board with the vibration thing and came on board with the whole colors vibrations thing. So what we're trying to do is match the music that we do with, how can I call it, good feel colors, um
Yeah.
something that to do with good vibrations really into people's hearts and minds and soul. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I don't want to get all too spiritual about it, even though I'm a spiritual person, but I
Yep.
just wanted to do music that makes people feel really good. Do you know
Yep.
what I mean? um, on any level. Do you know what I mean? On any level.
Yeah.
With that in mind, Umi then introduced me to a girl called Josephine Pepping, who is also a songwriter
Hmm.
in her own right. She's a songwriter rapper from Finland,
Oh, cool.
and together with Zoran, who's the designer and musician, we've
Hmm.
done a track together. Right? We've all done this track together called Hey Boo, which is coming out next month. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
awesome.
coming out in August. It's coming out in August. And we've got the sleeve design done by Zoran, which is amazing. Josephine's done a great job with writing the lyrics.
Hmm.
Um, Me and we've done the music together and produced the track. I've mixed it, and a guy called Richard Earnshaw has mastered it, mixed it down and mastered it and everything. So,
Yep.
you know, we just hope well, we want it to be, and I think it is a really good sound. It's a very catchy track. It's a very catchy
Hmm.
track. Well, so what we want to do is, what we are going to do is release it next month, and just get the story rolling with the beat, with the what we call the BBM, Boogie Bus Music label.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'll be releasing my stuff on it, and then Josephine will be releasing her stuff on it as well, because she's doing her own thing as well,
Yep.
you know, like solo tracks as well. So the idea is to get her to release stuff on my sorry, on the label, on the
Yep.
label on the label, and then create this whole AI, using AI in the right way, because we've done a video as well, but the video is AI generated, which Zoran has done, because he's an
Yep.
AI guru. He's an AI
Yep.
guru, right? And he's come up with a really cool, special, what I call a very special video for it.
Okay.
The actual concept of the whole thing is through Umi, and the good thing is, this is what I mean by bringing Umi on board. What she's done is she could think wider than what I think. So I wouldn't have been able to be perfectly honest with you, not being able to come up with the idea about using AI and bringing the song into it, and characters and all this kind of thing, and like characters from around the world and all, and this kind of thing, getting through to people on a worldwide kind of network kind of thing,
Okay.
you know. um so we just want to basically put the music out on the label, let it get through to people, put out some good music, and then hopefully kind of expand as we go along, doing things like, if I don't know, eventually doing events. So we're doing the Boogie Bus music events, that kind of thing. But all this takes time, but that's kind of the forward thinking of the
Yeah.
label, basically. I know there's a lot of people doing events and things like that, but we just want it to be specific. basically, to good feel, good vibes, good frequency within the music, so that when we play it, people get it when they come to the live events. You know, Josephine is also a DJ, so she's a DJ, rapper, and songwriter.
Awesome.
We actually go out together and do a thing on our own. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've had a couple of gigs where we play like back to back. She'll do an hour, I'll do an hour, that kind of thing. You know what
I think I've seen posts on your Instagram. Yeah.
On Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Josephine, and she's amazing. She, I don't know if I met. She's from Finland. Do you know? Originally, she's from Finland, but she's amazing. She's really good songwriter, amazing rapper. What you hear on the record is great. Do you know what I mean? But I've heard some of her other stuff, and it's brilliant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's really good. Yeah, she's really good. So teaming up with her as kind of teaming up with her has opened up my mind to the music, that side of the music. Do you see what I mean? Because I'm a disco kind of guy. So the good thing with bringing her on board, it brings disco into another kind of element, so to speak. You know what I mean? It brings that whole different element into it. And together with the AI and working with Zoran as well, it's made everything very workable, working with Umi as well. And we've all got to know each other really well. We've got a nice little team behind us doing video, Rory on video and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And he's doing a great job. But yeah, this is kind of like my idea, which is slowly coming into fruition. Do you know what I mean? And everybody's kind of chucking in, doing their bit together. So we're working as a team. Nobody's not like, oh, we're leading it. Oh, it's my thing or whatever. It's just like working as a team, So the concept is the label, and then putting stuff out on the label, creating good vibes, good music for everyone, and just making it happen. Do you know what I mean? Making it happen. But we've got that first track coming out in August, kind of like mid-August.
Okay.
So so everyone keep their eyes peeled, ears open. Oh, hey boo, here we come.
And that song that's coming out, that's the joint collaboration between you all,
That's a
right?
joint collaboration with myself, musically, myself, Josephine, and Zoran, basically.
Yeah.
Zoran, yeah. Zoran does his own thing, to be perfectly honest. He does his own thing. He does like a kind of more chilled out, ambient kind of electronic music. Very good. Very,
love that
very
stuff.
Good, he's really good with it, actually. He's really, really good with it. So with all the different aspects from our musical backgrounds being joined together, it's worked out really, really well. It's worked out really well. Yeah.
And then on top of that, were you saying you had your own music as well? Like stuff?
I've got my own music, which is music that I write with other people. So I'm working with a guy at the minute called Monsieur Van Pratt, who's from Mexico. So I'm doing a track with him. I'm doing a track with a duo from Zurich called Ricky Disco, doing a track with them as well. And then I'm doing another track with a DJ producer up in Scotland, Natasha Kitty Cat and Carmina Day. Carmina is from New York, so she's doing the vocals. So
that's
she's
cool.
doing her thing. Yeah. So just trying to get things going as a drummer, artist, producer, just trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
But it's all the basis of it all comes from drumming.
Yeah.
Based on drums, you see.
That was my next question, is it centered around your drumming ideas and you're giving people creative direction? Like, are you saying, I was thinking of this sort of chord or whatever, or are you just letting them go nuts?
I'm a very open guy when it comes to that collaboration thing and all that. I just come up with an idea. Like with Hey Boo, I just came up with the idea and then I just sent it to Zoran. Zoran came up with his bits,
Yeah.
And then we just kind of arranged it between us and then sent it to Josephine. Josephine put her lyrics on. And then once it got to a certain stage, then we collaborated properly together, met up in one room, collaborated, arranged the track, everything. And then I just took it away and finished it off, basically.
Nice.
Normally when I do my work with other people, I work in a way where I give them total freedom. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want it to be blah 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 blah, because I might just come up with a drum beat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then come up with some chords. With Ricky Disco, for instance, when they sent me the idea, it was just keyboards and a vocal line. That was it,
Okay.
and a tempo. No drums, no nothing. It was just the chords, the vocals, she was singing, and I just had to build it up. So in my mind, I have to go, how do I see this track sounding at the end?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How do I see this track sounding at the end? And like me, they're into disco. They're big disco heads, new disco heads. So we're on the same level,
Yep.
musically when it comes to that. And the same with Monsieur Van Pratt from Mexico. He's a disco head, new disco guy as well. So, but his kind of disco is sounding different to my disco. Do you know what I mean? Even though it's disco, he has his style, I have my style. And when you put the two together, you get a good track.
Yeah.
With the amalgamations of the two styles. What I try to do is, I don't want to take over as such. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, it needs some sort of direction. My direction is, these are the drums, these are the chords, but they don't have to be those chords, because you have verse, chorus, mid, late, or bridge, or whatever. Ricky Disco, they might sorry.
All right. Cool. So where were we? We were talking about collaborating with the other people.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So
So like I said, with the music that I do is that whole disco funk vibe, and kind of bringing other people in. They can do what they like, basically, because I'm a very open guy. They just do your thing. The reason why I'm working with you is because I like what you do, basically. So just do your thing, and don't be shy. Just do your thing.
yeah.
So that's basically the kind of forefront of, that's like the kind of the story behind the label, basically.
Okay. And where's your, I know you touched on like eventually doing events, but where's the end goal? What's the
The end
destination?
goal is with events, it'll be like, the Boogie Bus, welcome on board the Boogie Bus events. I don't know, I need to put it, but it's going to have Boogie Bus in it anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all going to be related to the label. And it will include like the people who I've collaborated with. It will include, of course, we'll be playing music, we'll have guest DJs, that kind of thing. Plus, with me being a DJ drummer, I'd like to do a set where there is the DJ, me DJing and me playing the drums. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
I would have like a setup here and a setup there, and I could jump on the drums and play,
That'd be
which would be
epic.
fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do the live thing, to play a few tracks would be amazing. And then also to bring on a guest DJ as well, and I could play drums behind them as well. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Nice.
I mean, just to make it all like a good time event, a good time disco event. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Playing cool, new disco, modern disco, disco house, funky house, whatever the DJs want to play, really. But it's essentially got to be a disco based. I mean, I know there's a lot of it going on at the minute, but I'm thinking of a way, together with Umi, who's helping me to push this all forward, to get something going. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just to get something going, really. to do the DJ drummer thing is what I'd like. That's my main thing, to actually do a full set, 2 hours DJ drums, basically DJing and drumming. Do you know what I mean? And playing the pads as well. Do you know what I mean? As
Yeah.
well.
S-
So I presume you see me playing the pads on my Instagram a
Yeah,
couple of times.
yeah.
That's my kind of expansion of it, basically, to actually start to play the drums, do you know, the
Yeah.
kit, you know what I mean, around it. Whether it's gonna be, I mean, acoustic drums is ideal, you
Mhm.
know, but if I could get electronic drums sounding as good as acoustic, then great. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Have you thought about running like I don't know what your setup is like, but have you heard of Get Good Drums?
get good drums.
Yeah.
No.
There's a guy, I'm pretty sure he's in the UK. His name is Nolly Get Good. And
Nolly Get-
he's worked with another drummer called Matt Halpin and some other
Okay.
drummers too, like Benny Greb. Um, and they've come up with these awesome drum libraries with amazing sounding drums. So
Ah,
so you could like use whatever your whatever DAW you're using, if it's Pro Tools or whatever,
yeah,
run the drum library and connect it to your E kit or whatever, and
right,
have
yeah,
like
yeah,
amazing quality drums.
right,
Um,
great.
yeah, so
Okay. So
that
you'd
might
run
be
it
some.
through, I'd use Logic, right? So I'd plug it into my whatever it is, sound card or whatever, which then connects to my Logic, and then run it, then play the drums through Logic, out of Logic into the
Yeah,
system. Kind of thing.
yeah, and you
Ah,
use that drum plug-in to get those sounds.
get those sounds. Right.
Yeah,
Okay. That's interesting.
I'll shoot you the link later. They're great
Yeah.
sounding kits.
No, yeah, that sounds really get good drums. Yeah, no, that'd be
Mm.
fantastic. Great stuff.
But
Great.
going back to your whole label project, it
Yeah.
sounds like quite an entrepreneurial thing, right? Like you're now going beyond musician and you're sort of going into, I guess, the business side of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is me going into the business side in a way of how I picture it in my mind. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? So I like the business side of music. I do like it.
Okay.
Um, and because I'm old school, uh, I yeah, I do think about the business as a business, but I also think about the artist as well. You see,
Yeah.
do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? You know, rather than just it all just being about me making money, because we all want to
Yeah.
make money, you know,
Of
that's part of
course.
it. But it's also getting um the respect of other musicians, other artists, singers, songwriters, plus also um, being able to put out good music related to what I do and what I like,
Yeah.
basically. You know, that's the way I've always pictured it. Um, you know, it's a case of navigating it properly, really,
Yeah.
uh, rather than I don't know, I suppose selling out. Really, do you know what I mean? You know, it's a case of navigating it properly, because I don't want to put out a track like some people do, some labels do, like they put out a track like every other week, do you know, or every week. They're putting out a track every week.
Mm.
Of course, the same kind of music, but they're putting out a track every week. What you want to do is put out good quality music every whatever, however often you want to, however you see fit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Relates to your label, which works really well, which gives the label a good name, which reflects my character, reflects the character of the people who are putting the music out as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There needs to be some sort of, it all needs to be connected,
Yeah,
basically. The
definitely.
whole thing needs to be connected in some form or fashion, you see.
Yeah.
Uh, Even though the basis of it for me is all stemming from my drumming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it there's also other factors coming into it which are connecting to the drumming, which is giving out a good vibe, good music, happy, happy feelings to people, using AI in the right way, letting people getting good deals with the right artist, you know what I mean? Working out good deals with the right artist. So everyone's happy from the business point right through to the listener.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. You can't keep everyone happy. That's obvious.
Of course.
You know what I mean? You can't keep everyone happy, but you want to keep at least 95%, or if not 98% of the people that you work with and the people that you release music to happy.
Yeah.
You want to keep 100% of the people that you listen to, that people that listen to your music happy. The people that you work with, not everyone's going to be happy because they'll have some sort of, they're entitled to their opinion, but we still need to work out what's the best for the label as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's the way I see the label, it's not just about me, it's about everyone.
Yeah.
It's about everyone. It's not just about me, it's about everyone.
Mm.
And we all want it to succeed. So I just want happy disco music.
That could be the slogan, just happy
Yeah.
disco music. Well, you'll quickly get your target market because they'll see that and be like, yes, that's the music I want.
Yeah. With the events, sorry, going back to the events that, I'd like to be very special for people to have a good experience
Mhm.
every time. But again, organizing events is about getting the package right,
Yeah.
and of course, you make, of course, it's about making money. You know what I mean, as well, because
Yeah.
you've got to work to live, right? You got to live. You got to pay your bills, right? But you also want to be able to pay the people that play as well.
Yeah.
So, from the business aspect, you need to think about all these things. You need to think about the venue. You need to think about the sound system. You need to think about playing times. Do you want to have it in the day or do you want to have it at night? All this kind of,
Yeah.
uh, I'm a daytime kind of guy, so I'm like 2 till 10 ideal. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? 2 till 10 ideal. Of course, you do something with that whole kind of happy disco thing, disco funk thing in the day, people can relate to it. I think people can relate to that whole thing, in the day. It doesn't have to be outdoors, it can be indoors, but it can be at the right place.
Yeah.
I don't mind a nighttime thing. I don't mind a nighttime thing starting at whatever time, 8, 9, 7 o'clock, whatever, and then going until 1 or 2. That's fine. That's cool for me. But it all needs to be somehow, you need to make it match and work. Need to make it work somehow,
Yeah.
And a lot of people that I talk to, they're daytime all day long.
Okay.
Even the youngsters, they're like, daytime. And then they can
Wow.
sleep. Do you know what I mean? It's not about coming up
Yeah.
thing and all that, because they can still get a train home at the back end of it. Finishes at
Yeah.
10. Oh, jump on the train and go home. Great. I'll have my feet. I'll be, up with my Ovaltine at 11:30. You know what I mean? 11, with biscuits. You know what I mean, and all that. Still
Yeah.
wake up on the Sunday and see my Sunday, which is great. You know what I mean? They can still see Sunday. Which is great. I mean, I've been out. I've been going out for years. I mean, partying. I've done my. I've definitely put my contribution towards partying over the years. And and it's and I used to be a nighttime person. Do you know what I mean? But as a time, not
Yeah.
because I'm getting older, I just actually prefer the vibe of going out in the day.
Yeah.
12, maybe not so much 12 o'clock, that's a bit early, but 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock,
Yeah.
1 p.m., 2 p.m., and just go all the way through the day. You look at your watch and it's only like 3:34. If you want to go home at 3:34, you actually don't mind going home at 3:34, and you could still watch, Strictly Come Dancing or whatever, later on,
Yeah.
Dancing on Ice or whatever it is people want to watch. You can still have an evening. You can still make your day your day. You can still
Yeah.
make your day. So yeah, the time is very important for me. The venue, as I was saying, the setup the sound system, all that's very important to me. So I've got all these things to think about, and just try to make it all come together with it being under the BBM umbrella,
Yeah.
with the Boogie Bus music umbrella. So together with Umi and we can make it work. We're just going to try and make it work, really, and then try and do it on a national level or just a city level, London to start with. You know what I mean? And if we could go international, fabulous. But you just got to build up that. You got to build up that crowd. You just got to build that crowd up, really.
Yeah.
And it all stems from your music, essentially. It stems from your music.
Well, you've already got an audience as well, from your Jamiroquai to your DJing stuff. So you straight away like get that out to them, and you'll have a following basically from the beginning.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. You know what? Sometimes I forget about that, and not because I want to, but it kind of just I completely forget about that, because I'm just thinking, okay, I need to make this work anyway, because I just think,
of course, yeah,
he is Derrick McKenzie, the drummer, who's got to try and make this work. Do you know what I mean? But I totally forget. And people always say to me, yeah, but you've got your fans from Jamaica, and you've also got your DJ fans, and you've got your people that listen to your music and all that. And sometimes I just forget. I forget that that's there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's good. It gives you it doesn't let you rely on
exactly
on that. And that should be considered a bonus as well.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. So I try and do as much as I can on my own, independently, with help from other people, obviously, like with Zoran, Umi, Josephine, so to speak, right at the beginning here, to get it all up and running, and then expanding outwards, and then getting people on board, the fans, get the fans and the list on board, the radio show helps, obviously. The radio show helps. People listen to it, they come up to me and say, oh my gosh, I love your radio show. So I know that helps. It's another way to reach out to people as well. Way to reach out to people. So I go out to quite a few stations with the radio thing. And there's I don't know how many listeners I get, I'll be honest with you. I just like to do radio shows, and I put them out, put it out there.
Yeah. Well, why not? If you enjoy it, just
and I enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. I've also, I'd like to mention also that I've done quite a few tracks, and I've worked with other labels like Groove Culture in Italy as well.
Okay.
And I've worked with a girl from America called Angela Johnson, who's an amazing songwriter and a great singer, and I'm looking to do a second track with her as well. Second track with her, and also with Carmina Day, who's out of New York, as also. I'm looking to do a second track with her. That's what I'm doing now, doing the second track with her. And I did a track also with the singer from Incognito, Joy Rose.
Oh, nice.
I did a track with her, and we're speaking about doing another track again also.
Cool.
So I'm getting an idea. What I'm trying to do is get ideas together for people, for singers, and I want to work with singers who I really like, and who I really want to work with. Do you know what I mean? So work with Joy, like it's like a bucket list. Working with Angela, bucket list. Working with Carmina, again, bucket list. 3 different styles. Do you know what I mean? But all get the music that I do. They actually get the music that I do, and that's very, very important for me. That you get the music, because then that way you get the performance. You get the song, you get the correct song. And then working with people like Lorraine McIntosh, who did backing vocals for us with Jamiroquai, working with Valerie Etienne as well, who does BVs with us and Jamiroquai, and also with Hazel as well. So So working with those singers as well is an absolutely amazing, good thing. I just done a remix with Valerie doing the BVs jointly with the lead singer. You know,
Okay.
that was called "Get Into the Groove," which got released, and which is apparently which is done really well. You know,
Okay.
and it's still getting the support of like the dance platforms like Tracksource and Beatport as well.
Hmm.
So it's getting good support from those guys, which is amazing. So I'm truly thankful. So thank you guys, and thank you to everyone that's bought all my music. Great, yay! You just don't know how it's going to do. You know, you put it out there like, oh, is it going to do okay?
Of
You know, also written
course.
with Matt as well. You know, written with Matt Johnson as well.
Yeah.
So writing with Matt has been amazing. I do lots of stuff with Matt. You know what I mean? I was recording with him only yesterday. So
Yeah.
for the album,
There's a lot of stuff with you guys, and I even saw a clip with you guys and like a Japanese guitarist, I think it was.
that done quite a while back.
Might have been. I think I
Was it
could.
in a studio?
Yeah, studio, but live, a live like
With
performance.
Jamiroquai, was it?
Just you, Matt, and some Japanese guitarist. Let me find it. I think it
Huh.
was Japanese or Korean. For some reason,
Huh.
my
Was it a picture? Oh, because me and Matt went to Japan and we did a session for. Oh yes, we last year we
okay.
did we did a thing with the Japanese artist. That's right. Yes, that's right. Yeah, Tonan. That's his name. It was on YouTube.
Yeah.
Tonan, Tonun. Tonan. He's a new guy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he's great,
And
man. He's great. Yeah. We
yeah, it
did a little
was
thing with him.
awesome track.
Yeah. You know, he's
Yeah.
just he's up and coming, doing his own thing, singer songwriter. Got his band together. He's touring Japan.
Nice.
The good thing is that you know he sings in English. He sings in Japanese as well, which is great. You know, but you know he's a young guy. He's coming through. He's doing really well. He's doing very well.
Good
Doing
on
very.
him. So,
You know, I hope to be
so
doing stuff with some more Japanese artists as well. So that which would be great because I'm into. I like what they bring to the table. I like what they bring to the table.
you should look up this guy. Hang on, guitarist. I forgot his Toshiki Sajima.
Oh, okay. Drummer.
No, guitarist, like neo
Oh, okay.
soul, jazzy, absolutely phenomenal. I'll
Oh,
shoot you a
cool.
link later as well. He's
Mm,
so good.
great stuff. Oh,
But
mate.
speaking of all the things you're doing the DJing, you're drumming, not only for Jamiroquai, but also like you're doing the Matt Johnson collaborations with other musos.
Yeah.
You're teaching.
Yeah.
Did I mention DJing already?
Yeah, you
you're
did.
you've got the radio show. You're well into building this label. These days, is it important for a musician, but let's focus on drummers, to
Yeah.
sort of diversify and have their hands in multiple pots to make a living off music?
Yes, I encourage that all the time
Yeah.
with all drummers that I teach. So not I teach drummers that I speak with,
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah.
I always ask them, what else are you doing? Always. What else are you
Okay.
doing? Oh, I'm playing the drums, doing a session, blah, 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 blah. And then, which is great because they're doing their thing and it's busy for them right now,
Mm.
you know. But the thing is, I mean, I've got into it like much later because I've obviously been quite busy and doing the whole Jamiroquai thing and all that.
Yeah.
So I've now but I've always thought about doing this entrepreneurial, or what if you want to call it, this branching out thing over
Yep.
years. I've been doing it for years, you know. But I think it's very important for especially drummers, to be expansive on their career.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Expensive, because if what you've got is drums, you then got to think of your drumming talent as a business and
Yeah.
what else you can do. So you need to think about your strong points, your weak points, whatever. And just like Kaz Rodriguez has done, Thomas Lang has done, Benny Greb has done, uh, J. Rod Sullivan has done. They've all gone into, either teaching in a very extensive way, or they've gone into making music,
Yeah.
production, and stuff like that. You see, So
Mm.
like a classic case of the drummer producer is Steve Jordan.
Yeah.
Is a classic case of that, where he's really good at what he does. So he gets the sessions, but he's also a fantastic producer. So he produces, and I'm presuming he writes as well. Stuart Copeland is another one. Not just a
Yes.
drummer. He's a composer, he's a writer, he's a producer, he writes film music, he does all these other things, So it's really good because then you get a taste of the business and how the
Yeah.
business works, not just from a musical point of view, but from merchandising, the actual business itself. Even though the business is changing every 5 seconds,
Yeah.
you get an idea of what works for you and how you can bring it to your advantage.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
the world, even though it's a small place, is actually a big place. There's always room, do you know what I mean, for people to do whatever it is they want to do. Some
Yeah.
people will be successful. Some people will be, I'm not going to say not successful. The sheer fact that you're putting something out or doing something means you're being successful. That's always my attitude. You see what I mean? Because you're actually making the effort to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you put a single out and it sells, you put a track out and it sells 5 copies, that's still, for me, it's still a success because it's not zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So and depending on where you're starting from, it, I'm starting with this whole thing from the bottom up, you know what I mean? Really starting from the bottom up and just slowly building my way and getting to know my way through it, which is what I'd say to all drummers. If you have an idea outside of drumming, do it.
Yeah.
What it is, doesn't matter what it is, I think all drummers should definitely do something more than just drumming all the time. You can
Yeah.
practice for 10 hours a day, but you might not get no work.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You could be on Instagram doing the fastest licks in the world. Do you know what I mean? But can you pay your bill at the end of the month? And what you
Yeah.
want to do is be able to earn from what you love to do. So you have to get into the business aspect of it.
Yeah.
It has to become, whether you want to be a registered business or just a solo, whatever,
Yeah.
solo musician, but you need to be able to make money from from your talent. That's why you went in the first place.
Yeah.
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 And doing things like merchandise, learning about the record business, how to release a track, how to get your marketing it in the right way, knowing direction, all this kind of stuff comes into it. And this is what I say to a lot of drummers, musicians anyway. You've got to have your own direction. It's not easy, but it's hard to find your own direction. But you need to go down to the roots of your talent, the roots of your talent, and then work out from there what you can do. Do you know what I mean? What you can do. will work for you. Some things might work, some things might not work. Do you know what I mean? So, but can you hear that? No,
Nope.
no, great, really cool. Helicopter, that's why.
Oh wow.
So it's very important for drummers, especially drummers, and I say this in the best possible way. We are most probably the most, and I don't mean this in a horrible way at all, not disrespected, but the least respected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're the least respected, and why? Because drums has always been seen as a non-melodic instrument.
Yeah.
Right? That old chestnut. And then you
Hmm.
go, hold on a minute. We know, okay, we know we need a song. We know the music needs chords, da 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 da. But if it didn't have a drum beat, especially in this day and age, you, you'd be dancing to just fairy music.
Well, you probably wouldn't be dancing. You need that
You
that
dance to the
beat and
beat.
the
Yeah,
bass,
exactly.
the rhythm section. That's
Yeah, the
it.
rhythm section, but speaking specifically about, I mean, speaking specifically about just drummers, it's just like drummers need to make a stand, as in regards to go out and do your thing. Don't just
Yeah.
stick just to drums. Go out and do your thing. Write music, make music, put music out. So then people see you as not just a drummer, but as an artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
They see you as an artist. They see
Mm.
you as a producer. They see you as a musical director or whatever.
Yeah.
They will only know that you do that maybe from doing gigs. That's one thing. But if they see you putting music out under your own name, they go, oh, people go, oh, actually, he's really good. Love that track.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Love that track. You
Yeah.
know, they might even people that buy your music might not even know you're a drummer. They might just see you as like me. They would say, oh, we just thought he was just a DJ. No, not just a DJ. He's drummer and DJ, and he plays with this band, and he does this and he does that. So you just want to be able to get through to people in any way that you can, basically.
Yeah.
The best way that you can, the best way that you can. Um, uh, yeah, I just think it's really important that
Yeah.
drummers expand. That's my answer to that question.
I agree. And especially like, I mean, I wasn't around in the 80s, but from
Right.
what I perceive, like musicians or like again, let's focus on drummers.
Yeah.
Like drummers were able to survive. I could be wrong, but it looked like drummers could just survive off their band. So, like for example, Lars Ulrich from Metallica, Tommy
Right.
Lee from Motley Crue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think those days are done now.
Those are
And
very
drum,
successful bands, and they
yeah,
were bands. They weren't
yeah,
sessions. They were
there,
so Lars and Tommy Lee or whoever, they were part of the band. See what I mean?
yeah,
They were all part of the band. They all um, Ringo Starr is part of a band. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? They're all part of the band, and so they get their share of whatever comes in.
yeah, yeah,
What I mean? So and too right as well. Too right as well. If they're there doing the music, putting the music together and stuff like that, then so they should get paid accordingly.
yeah,
The problem is a lot of people just say, "Oh, well, the drums are the drums. It's not a melodic instrument." Well, that's a load of old tosh, if you ask me.
yeah. Oh, I agree.
It's a load of old crap.
Yeah,
With a session, it's a whole different thing. Session is a whole different thing because you're now working for someone, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? And it's entirely up to them if they go, well, Derek, we want to give you, or Nick, we want to give you 10% publishing on this. You're clapping your hands. 25% publishing. You go, great, fantastic. You take that all day long. Because it's like, and it does well. You're doing good. You see what I mean? You're doing good. Um, I think the industry's changed, obviously, and now a lot of drummers have to find themselves kind of going out on their own. So just be part of the band, but also they have to do something. They have to do something else. Not because the money's poor, but I think in order to keep themselves busy as well. You see what I mean? Um, and it's good to keep the mind busy and not just focused on drums all the time. It's good to get into that business aspect of it. The business aspect of of music, especially from a drummer's point of view, is very interesting because it's something that we don't really engage in. So when you do engage in it, you go, right, this is great. I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? And I enjoy it. Um, and you can be very successful at it. Especially if you write. If you write, play chords. If you write and sing song, like I mean, a perfect example is Phil Collins. Perfect example of a successful drummer. Drummer, singer, songwriter. The very few of them about, uh, but when you get really successful, you go, well, if he could do it, I could do it. You know, on a different level, of course, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not, on a different level. But the thing is, it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah. Yeah, what I'd like to dig into is your journey from when you were juggling, working a day job and practicing at night up until when you joined Jamiroquai. Like,
The story.
yeah, yeah. I know you've spoken about it on some interviews before, but I want to get more into what you were thinking at the time. Like, did you have dreams to become like a successful drummer at that point, or were you thinking maybe I might not make it?
Yeah.
Like what was going on for you at the time?
I think going back to the very beginning, I was at school. I was at school, wanted to always loved tapping on the desks and doing all this kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? And always loved music because my musical background was stemmed from my parents, from playing
Mm.
music in the house all the time, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we'd have people come around the house who'd come and hang out at our place, listen to music, have food, have a few drinks, there'd be parties, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. My dad being the perfect host, mum and dad being the perfect. Do you know what I mean? So I was always around, being brought up in that whole kind of musical kind of vibe, being around me. You know what I mean? Listening to it and
Yeah.
stuff. When I got into, I'm going to say secondary school, so like between 11 and 16.
Mm-hmm.
I got more into it. Basically, I got more into the whole music thing, and it wasn't until I met a girl called no, in fact, before that. I used to play drums on the stool at home. On the
Yeah.
stool at home. Do you know what I mean? I used to play drums on the stool at home, and it was one of my sister's old ex-boyfriends way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Says, he goes, you know what? You play the drums really well, because he'd hear me playing with records,
Yeah. Yeah.
basically. And he would then say to me, he goes, oh, you should come to rehearsals with my band and stuff. And I'd be like, yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe, Anyway, eventually I did go. I did go to one of his
Mm-hmm.
rehearsals, and that's when I discovered that I was a left-handed player,
Yeah.
because I'd never played the drums before. I'd always been playing on this stool, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And with that in mind, I got on the drums. They were right-handed like this, which was very awkward. And even now, me doing this feels awkward.
Yeah.
So, and the drummer said to me, he goes, "Oh, do you want to swap it round? Because I think you're left-handed." I went, "Oh, yeah, yeah." So I didn't know what he was talking about. So he went, put Tom over there, hi-hat snare over here, blah, blah, blah. Go have a play. Anyway, played along for a bit, and it was really good fun. Do you know what I mean? Just playing along.
Yeah.
I only played for like 5 minutes because it was in their rehearsal. Do you know what I mean? So I
Okay.
didn't want to take up their rehearsal, and that's when I discovered I was left-handed, basically.
Right.
So when I discovered I was left-handed.
So at school, were you writing with your right hand then?
No, left hand.
Oh, you were still like prior, you were doing everything with your left hand. Okay, cool. Gotcha.
And when I was, and then one day in when I was about 14 or 15 or something, we had a new person come into our class, and her name was Toyin, Toyin, and she, she sat next to me in the class, and
Mhm.
so I mean, she had her friends, and one of her best friends was also a person who I went to school with from junior school. So
Mhm.
that was really weird, you know. And then she'd always see me tapping, and all that. And she goes, "Do you play drums?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, well, kind of." But she said, "You know, would you? You never know. One day you could join my band." But I didn't know she had a band, but I didn't
Yeah.
know who she was. But
Yeah.
apparently it came to light that she was already a well-known session singer on the reggae circuit, done her own tracks, singing with bands, gigging, the whole thing. At 14, she was already doing it.
Wow.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? 14. So,
Crazy.
and consequently, and then eventually she had her band, and she said to me, "Come up to my place," because we rehearse at my place.
Mhm.
And I said, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll come and see your band." And we went up there, saw her band play, thought it was cool, it was all good, you know what I mean? Had no idea what was going on, but there was band politics going on, basically.
Ah, okay.
Band politics, I had no idea, because I'm all new to this whole thing, you know what I mean? Band
Yeah.
politics. Anyway, cut long story short, they got rid of the drummer. And she says, "Do you want to join?" And I went, "Okay, yeah, but I don't want to be like getting in, do you know what I mean? Stepping on toes here, basically. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Paul, I said, "Well, you have to make sure if once he's gone, he's gone. I don't want him
Yeah.
to don't want it to be like he's gone for 1 week and then he's coming back the next week and all that kind of stuff. And that was when I was young. I was saying that to her.
That's
Anyway, she
pretty
got
mature.
yeah.
Yeah, for yeah.
So she got him in. She got rid of her old drummer, and then I came in, and it was all good, hunky dory. So that was my first taste of semi-pro. I was semi-pro because that's when I did my first gig and got paid.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So semi-pro at like
So
14.
you would have been 14 as well.
14, 15, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
15. Yeah, and I stuck with her for quite a few years. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Playing this music and all that. Then eventually she got her own record deal and wanted to go off solo, which was
Okay.
fine. So she went off solo, and I kind of went off and joined another band and stuff, and that was kind of like the start of my kind of musical journey. But
Mhm.
meanwhile, I've got to earn money to pay bills and do whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
At school, I would have saved up for my drum kit. Blah, 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 blah. So after a few years, I started working at Marks and Spencers, earning £5, £9 a day, £10 for the morning. 6 till 1. You know,
Yeah.
uh, and then saved like £5 out of my £9 to more towards my drum kit. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then and I got my first drum kit this is years on now. We're talking years on now. I got my first drum kit at like 18. That's when I got my first drum kit. So between the ages of
Wow.
like 14 and 18, I had no drum kit. I was borrowing drums and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or drums would be, I would hire, or some people would hire a kit, or I'd use somebody else's kit or something like that.
Mm.
So yeah, it was actually it was a nice experience for me to kind of go through all that whole thing, but not with the intention of becoming a professional drummer. That was never my intention. When I started working at Marks and Spencers, I was still doing the whole part-time thing, because by the time I started working at Marks and Spencers, I had had a mortgage
Right.
as
Yeah.
well.
I remember you were saying. Yeah.
I had a mortgage, so I had to work and this is now not the first Marks and Spencers. This is the second Marks and Spencers. Do you know what I mean? The second
Okay.
Marks and Spencers. So we're later on into my life now. I've skipped quite a lot here.
Yeah.
And once I got my drum kit and I started practicing at home, it was at that point. Let me see now. I don't know how old I was when I got my first drum kit. What was I? 18. So I was 18, and it was at that point when I had my drum kit at home and was playing. I thought, I really want to do this as a not a career, but do it more. That was the word. That was kind of the thing in my mind. I'd like to
Okay.
do. I really want to do this more because I really enjoyed it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Really enjoyed it, playing to the music, listening to the tracks, and doing all this and just practicing basically.
Yeah.
And I would and I said, right, I'm going to make my other thing was I'm going to make my work around my drumming.
Yep.
So I'd go to work early in the morning, and then I'd come back in the afternoon and practice till whatever 6 o'clock, 5, 6 o'clock, whatever. So I'd do that. I do that like I did that for a long time. Did that for a long time, and as I was working eventually, whilst I was working at Marks and Spencers, I joined a band called Candyland. I did other gigs before that. I was in a band called Heavens Above, which is like a, oh gosh, how can I call it? Heavens Above is like, what's that? Oh gosh, like jive music. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
All that kind of stuff, like kind of Elvis Presley kind of music. Do you know what I mean? Rock and
Yeah.
roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, not rock and roll, not like that kind of stuff, but as in like rock and roll, old school 50s. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? 50s kind of style with my friend Stanley, got arrested, rest in peace, because he was like the first kind of serious bass player that I played with. Stanley Hunt was an amazing bass player. And I worked with him on quite a few projects. And that was the first project that I worked with him on, the Heavens Above thing, right? And it was, and what we brought into it was the funk into the rock and roll, into that jive
Okay.
music. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
which loved, and the guitarists, because they were the songwriters. Do you know what I mean? They loved it. So we got loads of gigs just all over the place. Do you know what I mean? Just playing this style of music, which went down really well. The gigs were packed and everything. It was really, really good fun.
Wow.
And then eventually that disbanded as well. Do you
Oh.
know what I mean? That disbanded, as it does. Do you know what I mean? And still with Stanley, because he was like the bass player that I'd worked with all the time. We joined a band called The Drive. Rather, he brought me into a band called The Drive, basically.
Okay.
He brought me into the band called The Drive, which was basically a P-Funk band. It was
Nice.
P-Funk, like that Prince kind of stuff, all that, which I'd never even heard of before properly.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
so that was like my first kind of taste of like playing funk, P-Funk, that kind of stuff, And with that band, The Drive, there's quite a few of us. We're all mates from the same area, Tottenham, Barnet, do you know what I mean? Camden, and we had so much fun playing the gigs, and we got a lot of gigs, and people loved the gigs. They just loved the gigs, really good, because they had the whole kind of singing, dancing thing going on. I was the only person that wasn't dancing. Everybody else is, the way you see Bruno Mars doing the whole band doing the same thing and all that. So that's what we
Yeah.
were back then.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We're talking in the 80s. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Which was inspired by Prince, because the singer was a massive Prince lover. And
Right.
so but he was a massive P-Funk lover. So Funkadelic, all that kind of stuff. George Clinton, loved Prince, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And he would just like, he doesn't want to be like that. He just wanted to do music that was similar to that.
Yeah.
So we come up with these original tracks, no covers, come up with the original tracks, and just go out and do these gigs, which people would absolutely love. And I love doing the gig. Absolutely love doing the gig. Yeah.
Those gigs that you were doing then, were they paid gigs as well?
Yeah. They were
Yeah.
paid gigs. So still, semi-pro, Marks and
Yeah.
Spencers, all that kind of stuff. And eventually that stopped because people had to go off and do other things and whatever. On, these things, life happens.
Yeah.
But I carried on doing my music. I just carried on doing my music. Kind of lost contact with those guys, and then whilst working at Marks and Spencers, I joined Candyland, which was
Yeah.
going through an audition, my first proper audition. It wasn't like through a mate. It was like saw the ad, just rang up and said like, oh, so you need a drummer, blah 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 blah, melody maker, whatever it was. You know what I mean? They said, oh yeah, come down to the studio, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I went down to the studio. They played their tracks. I drummed along. Great, yeah, we really like what you do. You've got the job. Fantastic. And it kind of went.
Nice.
We just started just doing gigs and stuff. And that was my first taste of like the indie dance thing.
Yeah.
So what I mean, doing that indie dance kind of music. So now we're in the era of the Happy Mondays, the Orb, Thompson Twins, is it? That sort of era, 90s, kind of like talking 80s, 90s kind of thing. And the guys come up with some great tracks. We went out on tour, went to America, did an album, got signed to a label. It was massive for me. It was all new for me. And it was at that point when I joined that band that I decided to leave full-time work and become a fully professional musician, which is a massive decision for me because I had a mortgage.
Yeah, and in our last chat, you were saying they had like a promotion on offer for you as well, right?
Yeah, they said
At Marks and Spencer.
Yeah, they gave me Marks and Spencers. They said, look, we're making people redundant.
That's right.
So you can take your redundancy, or you can work for 2 months and then make your mind up. Either way, you still get your redundancy, or you could stay on in whatever department you want to go into. So I thought, all right, okay. So I stayed on for the extra 2 months, collected me money, and just went like, do you know what? I'm going to jack this in. I've had enough of this. I'm just going to do my. I'm going to go into music. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's more me. Do you know what I mean? That's more
Yeah,
me.
And how did you feel when you finally closed the door on like the day job and just were fully focused on music?
It was quite frightening because even though you had that guarantee of that money coming in from the band,
Yeah.
you still knew that once that could stop at any time, and then you need to like fend for yourself.
Yeah.
So it was frightening, but I knew I had to make it work. But being in a band situation, it worked really well because we're all kind of in that all in that situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all in that struggling musician kind of thing, So a little bit nuts, really. It was all a little bit nuts. But we did well. We did well. Did the so I had to so it was quite frightening. It was quite frightening, but I said no, I'm gonna get on with it. I'm gonna do it. And I did it, and I'm glad I have done it. I'm glad I did it, basically. I'm glad I did it. I don't regret any I don't regret any part of my journey, even right up till now, talking to you. I don't regret any part of my journey. It's absolutely fabulous. It's taken me a long time to learn a lot of things. I've made a lot of silly mistakes. I've lost a lot, but I've also gained a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
You have your low points and your high points. Not everything's a success. Do you know what I mean? But you get up and you keep on pushing forward. That's my thing. I seem to have learned quite a lot later on in life. So I tell my kids, right, you need to do this now because later on it'd be beneficial for you. And you don't want to do what I did because I wasn't told what to do, but I'm telling you what to do so that later on down the line you don't become a cropper, basically, whether it be
Yeah.
spiritually, emotionally, financially, wisdom, common sense, which is the most, do you know what I mean? You know, anything like that, relationships, just make the right decision. If you've got a
Yeah.
problem, come to me. That's what I say to my kids. Do you know what I mean? You know, come to me if you've got a problem. Don't deal with it on your own. It's what I did, and I lost a lot trying to deal with stuff on my own. So, um, yeah. So I'm very happy that I did that. I've done this journey right up until now, and I just want to keep on continuing and improving myself. So I don't regret in any way becoming a professional drummer whatsoever.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Really enjoy it. I really enjoy being a drummer. I just love drums. You
Yeah.
know, I love playing drums.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, have you got a student walking in
Yeah,
now?
no,
Or?
you go. Just keep
Oh,
going. You're all good. Don't worry, it's fine. They'll have to go.
okay. All right. So then from Candyland, then you were in another band after Candyland, weren't you? Before Jamiroquai?
Urban Species.
Urban Species, that's right. So
Urban
you had
Species, yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a hip hop band I
Mm-hmm.
joined.
Yep.
Joined the hip hop band. Was with them for a couple of years, which is great. Another learning curve for me because I've never done like kind of jazz hip hop kind of stuff.
Mm.
So I joined them, which was great. Really enjoyed that. Also, like I think I mentioned in the first hour, I did setting their show up with a sequencer and a sampler back
Yes.
and
Yeah.
putting the whole show together for them to go on tour with, which was great. You know, that was a real nice learning curve for me. I love that. Learned how to and that was also my kind of first experience of programming music.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, even though I've done it before, this was like my real first experience at like really doing it
Mm-hmm.
properly, and also in a live element as well, in the live element as well. You know, because I'll be
Yeah.
playing the drums, I'd have to work out, play the live drums, listen to the click without everyone else listening to it, and then getting the outputs right
Mm-hmm.
on the mixer, sending it to the desk. All this, it was just nuts. It was just nuts. You know what I mean? But thank goodness for the instruction manual on the sampler and on the sequencer. I managed to set it all up. You know what I mean? You know, and also the guy that programmed the original music, he was actually on he was doing stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? He was helping me a bit as well, but he didn't know much about the sequencing of the music, so I had to basically get all that together.
Yeah.
Basically, he gave me all the samples, and then he got all the samples together, and then I put it all in sequence. You know,
Mm.
what to and what to cut out, what stops, change of tempos, all this kind of stuff was just like that's what I had to do, which I'd never done before. And I just thought, right, this can work. Can you do it? Yes, you can. Great. Let's make it, you know. Yeah, but yeah, joined them. So I was with them for a couple of years actually, and we went to Japan and stuff. We did a lot of UK stuff, a lot of European stuff, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
Big in France, big in Germany. I didn't do Italy that much, but we did kind of like Belgium, that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
You know, Japan, they were really big. Japan, they were very big. So they did well over there. And then it just got to the point where I thought I was all hip hopped out, basically.
Okay.
Hip hopped out. Do you know what I mean? You know, because I like the music, got to learn quite a lot about the rappers and stuff like that and the different styles of music. But then I'd had enough of it. Um, and it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I was kind of coming to this end of my running, end of the line with this, with the not fed up, but I can do it, but it, I'm enjoying it, but I'm not. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm enjoying it,
Yeah.
but Recorded a couple of tracks with them as well, which was great. And then what I did, I then got a call from EMI publishers,
Right.
and they asked me about doing an audition for Jamiroquai at that point.
Wow. And
Who I didn't know I didn't know who they were. Have you heard of this band Jamiroquai? No, don't know who they are.
yeah.
In a minute, oh, I'm just doing some stuff with this band called Urban Species. Oh, they went, oh, okay, that's cool, yeah. Because what I didn't know is that Urban Species was on Acid Jazz, and Jamiroquai was on no, they were on Talking Loud, and Jamiroquai was on Acid Jazz. So
Right.
like the two labels that were basically the same but different. So like competing labels. Do you know what I mean? So, label, then going to play with the band that's on the other label. Do you know what I
So
mean?
so why did EMI contact you? Well, first, how and why did EMI contact you?
Yeah, the head of A&R,
Yep.
Guy Moot, he was head of A&R at the time. He rang me up, said there's this band called Jamiroquai. They're looking for a new drummer. Okay. Their Jamiroquai's drummer just left.
Mm-hmm.
Just left for whatever reason, unknown to me. And they got in contact with me through a friend of mine, through someone I used to go out with back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and it was her brother who I
Uh,
spoke to at his barbecue,
yeah.
and said, if you ever need a drummer, here's my number. And when I gave him that number, like on the Sunday, on the Wednesday, he gave the number to Guy Moot at EMI, and then Guy
Wow.
called me.
Gosh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like it's sort of it's that saying of it's not what you know, it's who you know, almost.
Yeah, it just it's I suppose you're calling it the world's aligning.
Yes, yeah.
But this is when I say God is good. Do you know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
because for as far as I'm concerned, the Lord needed me to leave this band to join that band,
Yeah.
basically. But made it all happen through through going to the barbecue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going out with this lovely young lady, do you know what I mean? Meeting her brother, and then him passing on my number to the head of A&R, you know, Guy Moot. Do you know what I mean? And then him calling me, and then me going to the audition. You know?
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting time for me, because I was thinking of leaving, and that's why I considered doing the audition, because I thought, look, okay, I'm in a job now. If I don't get the audition, I still got a job anyway. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So I went along and did the audition. Yeah. And that's how I
What?
got,
Sorry.
that's how I got to that point of going to the audition. Yeah.
And what was your prep for the audition? Like, were you given songs or?
That's another weird story. So I'll tell you the story on that one. So a few weeks before,
Mm-hmm.
another good friend of mine, Lucy, bless her, she's great. Known her for years. I knew her from my Candyland days. Hadn't seen her for years. Thought, how you doing? Let's catch up. Went to see her and her friends, and she said to me, must have been about a month before the audition. She said, have you heard of this band? And I went, no. Have you heard of this band called Jamiroquai? And I'm like, no, I've never heard of them. Do you know, because I was on the road with Urban Species.
Yeah.
I'd heard the music, but I didn't know who it was.
Ah, okay.
I'd seen the sign, the Buffalo Man. I'd seen all of that. In the Buffalo Man, there was no writing with the Buffalo Man. It was just the Buffalo Man, and that was. So she says, you've got to listen to this album. This band sounds really good. This guy is a great singer. So she says, here you go, take the album. So I took the album, stuck it in, had a listen, thought, oh, this is interesting. I know what they're trying to do. Rare groove, old school funk, that kind of thing. you know, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I most probably wouldn't have played it like that because the music that I heard, I was hearing the same thing in the way that I hear it, listening to the tracks that I really loved. Harvey Mason,
Yeah.
Patrice Rushen, Donald Byrd, listening to all that over the years. So I kind of
Mhm.
knew where it was coming from,
Mhm.
so to speak. So she gave me the album, and then I listened to it and thought, okay, cool. Didn't think anything else of it, right? Didn't think anything else of it. The audition came, and they said, we need you to listen to the album. And they said, I'm like, oh, what's the album? They said, Emergency on Planet Earth. And I went, oh, I've got that. I'm sure my friend, all right, then great. All right, well, you know, have a listen to the tracks. Da 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 da. Do you know what I mean? So I was rehearsing with Urban Species at the time. I then, and I didn't have time to listen to any of the stuff. I only heard it that once.
Yeah.
And I had to travel from North London to West London in my car. So I said, oh, guys, I've got to leave early because I've got another appointment. That's all I said, anything else. So on the way over, I've listened to the tracks. Emergency, Too Young to Die, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Listen to it on the way, do you know what I mean? You know, and got to the rehearsals, and you know, I'm thinking, okay, there's gonna be like, I don't know what to expect, to be honest. I don't know what to expect. I've got to the rehearsal, seen the manager, Kevin. Kevin goes, all right, how you doing? I'm all right, yeah, good. I've just come over from North London, whatever. And he goes, all right, then coming in, you know, meet the guys, have a play. So got into the room. Hello, guys, all right, yeah, great. Had to swap the drums over because everyone before was right-handed. So
Of course,
drums over. So now this is the second day of listening to drummers for these guys. This is the second day. And it's the end of the second day. They've been at it from like, I don't know, 10 in the morning.
Wow.
Right. You know what I mean? So anyway, they got so I'm now the last person on the last day.
So by that point, they're over it.
Yeah, they're like, truly over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, they're actually all right. They're actually all right about it. Do you know what I mean? And they said, okay, we're going to do this track. And they said it's, I don't know, Too Young to Die, I think it was the track I played. Or was it Emergency? It was one of them anyway. So I said, look, I've only listened to the tracks on the way over, but play it and I'll do it. Anyway, as it goes, luckily, I knew the beat. I knew the beat.
Yeah.
You know the arrangement, but I knew the beat. So you know, I started playing, playing. All good. They were getting into it. I could see they were getting into it. I thought, okay, this is all good. This sounds quite cool. And just enjoying the music and stuff. It's drum fills and stuff, and then just going into the ride cymbal and just grooving out, basically, just enjoying the vibe, you know.
Yeah.
That's great, yeah, really good. Okay, cool, great. We'll do another one, and I think, and that was Too Young to Die, which was great because after doing a whole load of hip hop stuff, I done the whole kind of break beaty kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So I was playing it similar to the record, but in my own way, so to speak. So I played it. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're grooving this. We're getting into this. That was cool. And whilst I was playing, Kevin was at the back. The manager was at the back with another guy as well. And they came in, they had a listen, then they went out, then they came back in again. And also Wallace was with them as well. Wallace, the didgeridoo player, was with them at the time, you know. And you know, I could see them standing there getting into it. And as far as I'm concerned, they're just people standing at the back of the room, which I'm so used to seeing with all the other bands, people just standing in the back.
Yeah.
In bugger all, you know. But then one of the guys comes forward and he goes, "All right, mate, how's it going?" I'm like, "I'm all right, yeah." He goes, "Hi, I'm Jay." And so I went, "Oh, okay, nice to meet you, Jay. How you doing?" "You're right." Yeah, I'm all right, okay, cool.
Did you know
So
he was the singer at the time? Oh, okay.
So I just sat down and then just started playing. Do you know what I mean? Did another track. When You're Gonna Learn, I think it might have been When You're
Okay.
Gonna Learn. Started playing, and he started singing. And then I thought, oh, he's the voice behind the album that I've just listened to on the way over. I was like,
The Buffalo Man.
oh, the Buffalo Man. Okay, cool. Okay, then the penny dropped. I thought, all right, that's cool. Played. You know what I mean? And we all got on well. And then after that, we then just started jamming out on just jamming tracks, just playing.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Just doing whatever
Mm.
track. And we started doing, and one of the tracks, and the track that actually got started in the audition, which then ended up being on Space Cowboy, was oh, let me know. My mind's going here.
Oh, Scam?
No. Oh God, my mind is going. Oh my
It's
God.
on the tip of my tongue as well.
Your computer.
It's about the. Oh, sorry.
Go on your computer, and it's the first track on Space Cowboy.
Okay. Yes.
I can't believe my mind's going.
I was actually listening to this song the other day, and I was thinking, like, I thought it was an interesting song to open an album with because it's so musical. Yeah, and different. Hang on 1 second. Return of the Space Cowboy album. I think it's called Space Cowboy.
No, it's not Space Cowboy.
Oh, hang on.
It's not Space Cowboy.
No, yeah, you're right. I don't know why it's listed as track 1 on this search result.
What's the second track?
It's saying the second one is Stillness in Time.
No, there's another one.
I
Anyway,
think it's I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
So we started doing that, and I was into like drum and bass at the time. I was in drum and bass.
Yep.
So what I did was I did like this really fast hi-hat thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and Joe was going, "Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that beat." So everything started, and Toby, being Toby, was who's again quite out there thinking when it comes to his music, just was coming up with these phrases. Do 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 that bit, with the chords and all that.
Yeah.
And I just thought, okay, I need to follow this. Do you know what I mean? I need to follow it somehow. And that's how and that was the first thing that we did for the album, but wrote it in the audition.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what sealed the deal? That part?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we just got on as musicians, I think. Do you know what I mean? Because we play all different kinds of music and we're all into the same thing, They were like, "Oh, what are you into?" So I said straight away, I just went, "Oh, like Patrice Rushen, Donald Byrd, Harvey Mason," not knowing what they liked. I just said these names. You know what I mean? All this kind of stuff. I'm kind of like a rare groove, jazz, funky kind of guy. They're like, "Great, excellent, nice." So that kind of helped as well to see. But I think it was doing that track and coming up with original stuff that really got it for me, I think. Because the next day I got a call from Kevin, the manager, and said, "Oh, well, just to let you know, you got the job." I was like, "Oh,
wow,
fantastic." you know, but I didn't know how big the band was. I was just like, whatever, do you know what I mean? Cool.
It's not like you could have Googled them back then or anything like that.
All right, cool. He goes, right, next week we're in the studio. I was like, oh, okay, you're right, cool. So then, you know, we went into the studio and started writing and recording. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, and that was how I got into the band, you know, and
Yeah.
right up until now, and it's been a fantastic journey.
That's
So
pretty incredible. Like you know, get into the band and then next week you're recording the next album with them. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just recording in the Space Cowboy album, and which was a great experience because we went into different studios, and it was like my first kind of taste of doing of getting of playing the Yamaha kit properly.
yeah.
The Yamaha 9000, my dream kit. They're like, oh, we're going to get some drums in for you. What do you want? I was like, oh, Yamaha 9000. They're like, okay, fine. Drums came in. What toms do you want? Like 10, 12, 14, 16, 22, whatever. You know, they just bought this kit in and it all is all there. It's like, oh, great.
At this point, did you feel like you were on the right track? Like you
I felt comfortable. Yeah. Felt good. I felt comfortable. I felt like, yeah, I'm into this music and we could do something, good here. But you just take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Don't go because you know I'm new to the whole thing, so I'm kind of just settling in, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just
It's like a probation period as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So it was like kind of like my first time uh, going from some kind of it was like from professional to professional on another level. Just you see
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mm.
You know, because we did, you know, recording the album, going into a massive studio, you know, for like a month, every day, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Wow. That's
Into,
awesome.
then then coming out of that studio, then going into another studio and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it's good fun.
And also speaking of Yamaha kits,
Yeah.
I think you have this snare drum as well, right? It's a Yamaha. Hang on. The code is SD 065.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Is there any history behind this drum? I know it's got like the weird parallel strainer and that, but
I don't know. I don't know if there's a history behind it. The Yamaha say, try this drum. I try it. I like it. Me, you know, I take my advice from Yamaha A&R, basically. Do you know what I mean? Because they're great like that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
I don't. I'm, you know, I mean, the first kit that they gave me, which was the Maple, absolute hybrid, was that's the first kit I got out of them as a full endorsee.
okay.
You know, so and I had that kit for years, and I still got them. I got two kits, Maple and Birch. Got them both.
Nice.
Yeah, and they were sent from Japan because initially I was with Sona initially.
Ah, okay.
So even though I used the Yamaha kit on the Space Cowboy album, I then got endorsed by Sona drums.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that okay.
yeah.
What's funny is I used to have this wall, like a little board of my favorite drummers, and you were on there, and and there was a photo. The photo I had of you was on a Sonor kit, and
Green
I was
designer.
yeah, and I was thinking like, oh, I always thought you were endorsed by Yamaha or something,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that now that puts the pieces of the puzzle together, so
yeah.
that's great.
Well, the thing, Yamaha, and this no disrespect to Yamaha because they're bleeding amazing. I didn't get taken on when I asked the first time round.
Okay.
Basically, I
Yeah.
didn't get taken on for whatever reason. They didn't take me on. I was like, okay, all right. So, but then I was at the North Sea Jazz Festival back then, and using my own kit, which is a Slingerland, 1964 Slingerland,
Wow.
and Ian Croft, who was A&R at the time at Sona, said, "It goes, all right, Derrick, how's it going? You know, what are you doing? Whatever." Introduced me, gave me his card, and just said, "Oh, we'd like, you know, if you would fancy being an endorsee for Sona, you know, we'll take you on board." Like, I'm like, "Oh,
Wow.
okay, all right, all right." Anyway, I said yes, and he sorted me out with a kit, really nice kit, really cool. And I had that kit for quite a while, basically for the whole kind of space cowboy kind of tour, so to
Mm.
speak. I mean, space cowboy tour, and part of the traveling without moving tour as well. Because then I went to Japan,
Yep.
and tour manager said to me, "There's some guys from Yamaha Japan who'd like to have a meeting with you." Like, all right, okay, cool. So these two guys came in. We had a really nice meeting. The tour manager was there, everything. And I ain't got a clue what's going on. I ain't got a clue of what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they said, "Oh, you know, we'd like to send you some drums. We've got these new drums, Yamaha Absolute, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, they sound good. Yeah, okay." So they said, "What's your favorite drum?" I said, "The Yamaha 9000. I said, "Okay, that's cool, but you know, we can do." And I said, "I like the red color, all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? You know, we've got these new lugs on them, quick release lugs, all this kind of stuff." But okay,
Mhm.
yeah, great. I didn't know what they were talking about. You know, so anyway, they said, "Oh, well, we'll get it ordered for you, and we'll send you the kit." I'm like, "Okay, great stuff.
What
You
just
know, we'll sign you on a worldwide international basis." Da da da. I'm like, "Oh, okay, great stuff. Um, we'll get it over to you." Um, so literally like maybe a month later or something, maybe a bit longer, I don't know. I got a call from UK Yamaha to say that my kit had arrived. I'd totally forgotten about the kit.
Wow.
Completely forgot about the kit. You know, because you hear me, so you go, "All right, yeah, whatever." Do you know what I mean? Anyway,
Yeah.
got the call, and they said, "Oh, your kit's here. Just come up." Do you know what I mean? Come to the factory, all this kind of stuff. So I said, "All right, okay, cool." So I went in, went to the factory, and basically it was a warehouse full of drums. It was just packed from floor to ceiling of drums. I was just like,
Wow.
"Oh my gosh, so many drums," in Milton Keynes, which is north of here. And 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 it was Gavin who I spoke to, and and they said, "Oh, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Here are your drums here." And so I thought, you know, you just think, "I was just going to be a couple of boxes."
Yeah.
It was just a ton of boxes, basically. So they'd basically say, like all the sizes of both of maple and birch of the in the cherry red. And I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, okay. Uh, how am I going to get this home?" "Don't worry, we'll get it delivered to your house."
Oh, wow.
So they had it all delivered to wherever. Do you know what I mean? So it was all good. Yeah, it was all good. Yeah, yeah. So that was my first kit. Do you know what I mean? And I've still got those kits to this day, and I use them a lot. And I think
That's
in fact, I use them quite. I use them on the last album. I used them on Autumn, really.
oh, no way.
Yep. Used them on the last album, um, and I use it when I do my function gigs and stuff.
Yeah.
I I use the drums all the time, and I never ask for anything. And and literally, this is years on, dealing with the A&R, the Yamaha UK. The what's it, Felicity, who used to work there, she goes, "Derrick, when was the last time you had a drum kit from us. I'm like, I don't know, actually, like the ones I've got. Do you know what I mean? So she said, yeah, you know what? I think we'll send you another one. Why don't you? Yeah, I'm like,
Not bad.
so she goes, why don't you try these ones? Which was the Oak Custom recording, Silver Sparkle, really nice. So I got those sent. Those got sent to the house, and
Mhm.
they were in the box for ages. And again, they sent all the sizes, the kicks, all the toms, the snares, everything. Do you know what I mean? Which is now set up in a studio in Barnet where I do most of my recordings for sessions, because they're
Okay.
really, really heavy drums. You can't really take them anywhere as such because they're super heavy drums.
Right.
So they're permanently set up in the recording studio,
Nice.
and all my recordings on. And I've got good sizes as well, like 12, 14, 16. Sound amazing for the stuff that I do. 12, 14.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've got the 8-inch, got the 10-inch, got the 12-inch. Sorry, 8 and the 10. There's a 16 and an 18. There's a 20-inch kick that goes with it. It's all,
Gosh.
yeah, it sounds amazing. Yeah, it's really, I love the kit, to be honest. I absolutely love it. And I still play the absolute hybrids now. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just changed the color. So just changed the,
Oh,
you
you
know,
wrapped it?
yeah. So
Yeah.
you've got
Yeah.
the green sparkle, which is great. I love. And then I've got the blue sparkle with all the logos and stuff on, which was done by a guy in Japan who did that for me. And got the blue sparkle, got the cherry red. In fact, I've got 2 green sparkles, one with the logos on, one without the logos as well,
Okay.
with the logos and stuff. I've got the blue sparkle. Yeah, I've got the blue sparkle as well. Yeah, and I've got some other,
Nice.
it's like old school kits. You know what I mean? Old school
Yeah.
kits, things that I wanted. But yeah, I love Yamaha, man.
We'll have to
Oh,
we'll tag them in this
yeah,
section of the podcast.
yeah, yeah. Yamaha, yeah, I love Yamaha. And Sabian cymbals I'm with as well.
Ah, yeah.
I'm a big Sabian cymbal fan. I was Zildjian to begin with, and then I decided to do the move.
Hmm.
I made the move, and I still. There are times when I use the Zildjian hats as well, Zildjian
Hmm.
hi-hats, which I love. New beats, quick beats. I use those still, depending on the track when I'm
Yep.
recording. But the majority of the time, and I'm going to say like 99% of the time, I use my Sabian complex hats, 15-inch complex hats, because they work for
Mm.
me in every situation.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Got a certain sound about them that I really like.
Okay.
Yeah, really like those. And I use the AAXs as well. Yeah, so yeah, Sabian cymbals, Vic Firth sticks, used them for years.
Hmm.
Always been amazing. All the guys, Headstock and all those guys, you know what I mean? Always amazing. Joe Testa in America, always rocking it. Do you know what I mean? He's really always rocking it. But say Christian Koch, who does the European side of A&R, always
Yep.
sorts me out with cymbals. And again, I've always, I haven't really changed my cymbals that much, to be honest,
Hmm.
unless they crack, then I'll just get the same ones again. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like the Evolutions,
Oh, yeah.
Sabians, so like the Dave Weckl kind of designer ones.
Yeah.
So
They're
like
super thin, right?
yeah, but they sound
Yeah.
great for what
Yeah.
especially for recording. 16s, 17-inch, great. And I'm a big AAX fan as well,
Okay.
like the AAX cymbals. But
Yeah.
hi-hats, and I do like a good effect cymbal as well, splashes and stuff. Do like splashes.
Mm.
Um, I've but my favorite out of all of them is the complex hats, 15-inch medium complex hats. Amazing, really good. Yeah.
Are they
And
on most of the Jamiroquai albums as well, or
no, but
on?
I only discovered them like last year or the year before or something, because I'd
Ah,
always been
okay.
looking for the right sounding cymbal. They're either too thin or too dark or something, whereas these are just right, not too
Okay.
dark, not too tinny, not too thin, but at the right size as well. So I get like a nice tone out of them as well. Yeah,
Awesome.
good for recording and good for live as well. Really, really good for me. This for me personally.
Yeah, of course, of course. And in terms of snares, do you have a go-to snare?
Yeah, a 14 live. There's a 14 by 5 wooden absolute,
Yeah.
which I use, and
Mhm.
then for recording, I use a 14 by 6.5 Manicace signature snare.
Okay.
Yeah, made out of
Nice.
copper and brass.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
a nice combination.
made out of copper and brass, dark, nice, heavy. Ooh, yeah, heavy. Touring, so it goes with the kit, heavy snare. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But those are my go-tos, basically. Those are my
Okay.
go. They're easily tunable for me personally. Tune them up, tune them down, and then
Hmm.
um there's then I have a thinner like 13 by 5.5 snare drum as well,
Yep.
which is more for kind of like the break beaty kind of stuff, but I don't do that often. For me, it's more about the grooving on the bigger snares. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Amazing.
that's my. I just like the sound and the tone of those snare drums.
Yeah.
I like the tone. So there's only so far uh, down you could go with a 14 by 5 before then going to the next size, then you can go a bit deeper. Does that make sense? For
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
yeah. So and that's what I do a lot of the time. I tend to I pick up one snare, I pick up the 14 by 5, I use that, I go, it's a bit high for this track, tune it down a bit. Yeah, it's still not enough low end on it acoustically, still not enough low end acoustically on it.
Yeah.
Then what I do is I then take it off and put in the 14 by 6,
Okay.
14 by 6.5, and then just tune that up the right way, get it to the right note, not note, the right tone, should I
Yep.
say.
Yep.
So it fits in with the track, and then just record away. It's great, love it. Easily tunable. It's a great sounding snare. I haven't looked back. People love it, and you hear it when I'm playing on Instagram and all that. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And on some of the tracks, like my personal tracks, when I'm recording, I use that 14 by 6.5.
Oh, okay. Right.
You see me on the Instagram and I'm playing the drums to the tracks and stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm using, the Manu Katché 14 by
Okay.
6.5. Yeah, 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 with the Oak Custom kit.
Yeah.
The Oak Custom kit. Yeah, which I love.
Awesome.
And I've got some old kits as well. Got like an old Rogers kit.
Hmm.
Uh well, 1970s Rogers kit. Um and I've got another. I think I've got two Rogers kits actually. I've got two Rogers kits. Yeah,
You know
Rogers
you've
kits.
got a lot of kits when you start having to wonder.
Yeah, but they're all useful. Do you know what I mean?
Of
They've
course, yeah.
all got character. Do you know what I
They're
mean?
our tools.
Yeah, exactly. They've all
Yeah.
got character. So and I just love to play them. I just love to play them. Always get a good sound out of them. Always get a good sound.
Mm.
For me, kick, snare, and hat is my thing. So I tend to use, again, it will be a 14 by 5 snare Yamaha or 14 by 6.5 Yamaha snare.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the absolute kits because they come out, you take them out of the box and they work. Nothing complicated about it. Do you know what I mean? I've
Mm.
actually got a recording custom, one of the new recording customs,
Wow.
which got sent to me by Yamaha, and which is what I'm now using to record the new Jamiroquai album with as well.
Awesome. We didn't get a chance to talk about the new album. and the
Well,
writing.
it's coming together.
Yeah.
It's coming together. Matt and Jay, or Jay and Rob, are kind of in the studio. They go in the studio and they come up with some melodies and some chords and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And then they'll come up with a few tracks, and then the rest of us would go in and do our bits. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Record on, well, come up with our drum parts and stuff, which is great. And it's a slow process, because you've got to think about what you're putting out. You can't just record
Yeah, of course.
then go, right, let's do that. Do you know what I mean? You got to go, right, this is good, that's really good, that's really good, that's really good. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then Jay then needs to write the lyrics over it as well.
Mm.
Lyrics over it. And then you need to go out on tour with it as well.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, you need to play those songs night in, night out, and you need to be able to enjoy it as well.
Of
Let 'em
course.
enjoy it. You need to enjoy it as well. So you
Yeah.
need to beats and chords and melodies that you're gonna love, that the people love as well.
Yeah. It is. Have you picked? What am I trying to say here? Can you hear a particular sound in this album that is different to others or similar to?
I think we go back to the old school and new school, so kind of live kit stuff with hybrid stuff. Do you know what I mean? From a drum,
Cool.
do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? From a
yeah.
drumming point of view. There's a lot of, I play quite a lot of, like the last lot of tracks we did, there was a lot of live playing. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like not replacing, but using modern sounds to double up with my kick drum or my snare drum or something like that. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Gotcha.
And the toms, I try and get them to sound as disco as my sound, basically, as much as
Yeah.
possible. So those don't get replaced at all, or mixed in with something at all. The snare might, just to give it a modern sound, really.
Yeah.
It normally works that way. And we just try and what we try and do is just try and come up, not something different, something that's similar, but an advanced version of what we're already doing. See
Yeah.
what I mean? Just an advanced version of what we're doing, but not copying. Also, that's the other thing. So
Yeah.
you've got to come up with good songs, good chords, really important, of course. All that side of it's really, really important. And then coming up with memorable beats, memorable drum fills, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Really important for me, and not complicated, because the punters, it'd be too much music for them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that's right.
the simpler the better, without it being cheesy. But the simpler the better, as long as you get that groove right, they get it. Trying to come up with a groove that people go, oh, that's that.
Mm.
That's that kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of like the process. But it's ongoing. I reckon nothing won't be really ready till the back end of next year. In all honesty, back end of
Okay.
25.
So it's still very, very fresh then. Like,
Early
yeah.
stage. Yeah, it takes time to write a good song. And Jay goes through this whole process.
Okay.
Deleting, writing, deleting, writing, deleting, writing, deleting. Till it's right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I totally get, because I'm like that when I'm doing my stuff at home. Writing, deleting, writing, deleting. Writing.
Yeah.
That works. And every time it works, you go, that's it. That's the one.
There's the magic.
That's the magic.
Yeah. Do you have time now to to talk about your preparation for recording, or are we out?
No, let's give it another 10 minutes. Is that all right?
I mean, it's completely fine by me. I don't want you to be put out at all.
You mean recording for the album?
Yeah, my question was, like, what is your preparation like leading into a Jamiroquai album? But how does that change for your own sessions that you do for others?
Do you know what? I don't really have like a preparation thing. I
Okay.
just this album, what I did was I'll tell you, for this album, I went a little bit all out. So before Christmas, I went into the studio because Jay completely redid the studio, right?
Hmm.
Completely redid the studio. So I went in with the engineer, brought my drums up, set the drums up, and we worked out where we're going to place them, where we're going to leave them, and then get a sound up.
Okay.
We get sound up, right? So I was there for 2 days, just doing just drums. In there.
Nice.
Tuning drums, setting them up in the right way. The engineer was brilliant. Rob Wilkes is his name. He's amazing, really good. Doing all the recording tricks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Great. And so doing those 2 days prep before going in with the band was great. So I
Yeah.
put them in, then stripped the drums down, took them away. And then when we went back again in April, April, we went back in and I set the drums up in exactly the same place, exactly the same way, and it sounded exactly the same. Do you know what I
Wow.
mean?
Yeah.
So the drums were, and I did those drums, I was recording customs, I used just for that Jamiroquai thing, not for nothing else. So
Okay.
they're set up. So now they've been in the studio since April. We were
Mhm.
supposed to go in to record, but ended up not going. So now probably not going to go in until September. So they're covered over at Jay's house now.
Yeah.
And then I'll just take an array of snares, I'll take an array of cymbals, that
Hmm.
kind of thing. And then I just work out which snare works, which cymbals work, all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my prep. Because I don't know what the tunes, you don't know what you're going to do when you go in the studio. So you just get a sound up and then you fine tune it. Basically.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's normally, I use like a 14 by 6.5 or a 14 by 5 or a piccolo. It just depends on what the track is, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'll change the cymbals accordingly, darker sounding or brighter sounding,
Hmm.
bright cymbal sounding or brighter sounding, it's just good to have that flexibility. So whenever I do the recording session, I always ask, I mean, like with Jamiroquai, I kind of know
Yeah, of
what it's gonna
course.
be, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? With anybody else, I feel like next week I'm going in to do a session for like a soulful house guys. Do you know what I mean? And they want live drums. Now, that's not disco for me. Do you know that's soulful house? So what kind of drums are you looking for? They haven't said anything. I just need to go in. They most probably won't even have a clue because they're DJs at the back end of it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
I will then have to go in and kind of lead what sounds will work for your track.
Hmm.
So then I need to go, right, okay, use this snare or use that snare, use these hi-hats, use that hi-hat, use these cymbals, use that cymbal. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it won't change because the toms always sound great. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The toms won't change. One thing I won't change is the toms. I might add a 10-inch tom, but I wouldn't
Okay.
even do that because the 12, 14, and 16 sound amazing in
Yeah.
itself. There's a unique sound.
Mm.
So that's how I prep. I normally get them to send me a reference track for sound and a reference track for the vibe that they want,
Okay.
or to send me the track itself. And then I need to kind of work out in my mind what's going to work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of like how I prep for the sessions that I do. Anyway, that's how I prep for the sessions that I do. There's not that much more really. I don't go deep into it until I'm actually
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which makes kind of sense, really. It makes sense.
So it sounds like a big focus on the sound and the
Yeah,
vibe rather than what you're going to play, like the part.
that comes whilst I'm doing the session.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Whilst I'm doing the session, really. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then try and then play it to the best of my ability,
Yeah.
basically. The focus is definitely more on, because if they just want straight forward to the floor, I'd do that all day long. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
16th hi-hat, I can do it, but it needs to be the right 16th hi-hat pattern. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
What works with the melody, what works with the keyboard parts, all that kind of stuff. What makes it sound groovy, all that kind of stuff. Drum fills is another thing for me. I'm big on drum fill. Not complicated, simple, but work. And quite distinctive. So if it's a breakdown, I'll come up with a big fill going back into it. I can either use it or not. The choice is theirs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you've got that fill, which you can use the start, at the end, wherever you want. Do you know what I mean? So I've done tracks where for a DJ where he's used, I think I drummed on like 4 tracks, and he's used all my drums across all of his tracks for his album.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he said they sound that good. I just use them as like the basis for all the tracks. You see what I mean? So that was great. I was really happy about it. So I ended up being on like 10 tracks or something.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I was doing different drum fills all the time. And remember, I was doing like 3 takes of each track. So essentially you've got an album full of, so he's got all these tracks, all these different drum fills, and he could just go through them and go, okay, I like that. I'm going to use that on this. I'm going to use that on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is very handy.
Is that your normal process to provide like 3 versions of the track?
I'd record it like 4 times and give the artist or the producer the best 2.
Okay, gotcha.
Give them too much choice, they start going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So you could do 10 takes, give them the best 2. Don't give them 3, still too much. Just give them the best 2, the vibiest 2 that work with the track.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
It's about what you play. It's about what works with the track itself.
Yeah. It's a very interesting thing that, like, because even the other day I was recording, there was one take which I felt was super tight. And then there was another take which wasn't as tight, but there was something about it that was just better. Yeah. The vibe. Yeah. Like, can't explain it. Yeah.
It's the vibe. And it's when you're doing the least work. You're doing the least amount of work. Say, sounds amazing. Love it.
Yeah.
We think about it, start going, oh yeah. Sounds awful. I had that yesterday, doing match session. Like, oh yeah, it's done. Playing. Listen back to it, I was like, it's awful. And then I went back to simple is best. Just simple playing, simple fills, sounded great. It fitted with everything. It's great, yeah.
Yeah, it just works.
It works, exactly. Okay, I better go now because unfortunately, it's I've got this guy waiting up. He's been waiting for over an hour now.
So. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah, no worries. You get to that, and we'll touch base later on.
Yeah, absolutely. But thanks a lot for having me, Nick. It's been brilliant. Really, really love it, mate. It's been
likewise. Really thank you so much, Derrick. Thanks for giving up your time, and I've had such a good time talking with you.
Oh, cool, man. Cool. No worries at all. Thank you so much, Andrew. Right, you take care. All right.
See you, Derrick.
Later. Bye.